Concept of God in Synoptic Gospels. Concept of God in Synoptic Gospels. In this unit, we shall examine the theological concept of God in Synoptic Gospels. We will examine the concept of theology, the various ways of knowing God, knowing God in Synoptic account, and the person of God. Now, what do we mean by theology? Theology is the study of God. Etymologically, or breaking it into its roots component, we talk about theos, Theos, in Greek, which means God. Theos in Greek, which means God. While logi means study. A combination of these two root words is what we refer to as theology, the study of God. Consequently, the first task of theology has to do with the knowledge of God. For source, SCHWARZ, 1999, the first three ways of knowing God are namely through creation, second ways of knowing God through providence, and the third way of knowing God through human conscience. Source 1999 claimed that there are three ways of knowing God, namely through creation, the second way through providence, the third way through human conscience. And these are known as general or natural revelation. They are known as general or natural revelation. But there is the fourth way, which is called special revelation. Special revelation. This is because it relates to specific revelations of God to a particular people, that is to the people of Israel. It is a special revelation and the fourth way of knowing God. We said special revelation of God to a particular people in particular events, such as in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, which were recorded and attested to in the Bible, is the fourth way of knowing God, otherwise known as special revelation. The Synoptic Gospels constitute, in the light of their recorded and attested events, one of the major biblical bases of special revelation of God. In other words, the Synoptic Gospels gave accounts of special revelations of God to man, to humanity in general. For instance, God involved himself in the life and teaching of Jesus Christ, that is, from his birth to resurrection. Synoptic view of the Gospels according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke affirm the fact that God the Father sent the Son, in whom he has confidence, as revealed in the baptism event, Luke chapter 4 verse 22, Matthew chapter 3 verse 17, Mark chapter 1 verse 9 to 11. Also in transfiguration event, as contained in Luke chapter 9 verse 28 to 36, Matthew chapter 17 verse 1 to chapter 17, verse 5 to 13. Mark chapter 9, verse 2 to 13. We're given specific examples in Synoptic Gospels that are illustrative of the fourth way of knowing God, what we call special revelation. And we said God involved himself in the life and teaching of Jesus Christ from his birth to resurrection. The synoptic view of the Gospels, according to Matthew, Mark, and Luke, affirm the fact that God the Father sent the Son, in whom he has confidence, as evidence in the baptism event. This baptism event you find in Luke chapter 4, verse 22, Matthew chapter 3, verse 17, Mark chapter 1, verse 9 to 11, and in the transfiguration event as contained in Luke chapter 9, verse 20 to 36, Matthew chapter 17, verse 5 to 13, and Mark chapter 9, verse 2 to 13. This God is eternal. This God is almighty. This God is great and transcendental, yet personal. Among his personal attributes are love, kindness, mercy, compassion. God is like a parent who cares and guides us, whose words and promises can be relied upon. You find this in Mark chapter 11, verse 22. And he comes to us in times of pain, suffering, and need. So far we have discussed about the theological concept of God in Synoptic Gospels. We examined the meaning of theology in its loose form, theos, meaning God, and logy, study, the study of God. We mentioned three ways of knowing God in what we call general or natural revelation. And we said this is through creation, providence, and human consent. But there is a special revelation, a special way of knowing God, which is the fourth way. And we said this involves God revealing himself to a particular people through particular events, such as through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. We mentioned the Synoptic Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke affirm the fact that God the Father sent his Son, whom he has confidence in, as evidence in the baptism and transfiguration event. And we concluded this unit by saying God is eternal, God is almighty, God is great and transcendental, yet he is personal. And among his personal attributes are love, kindness, mercy, compassion. And we said God is like a parent who cares and guides us. His words and promises can be relied upon, and he comes to us in times of pain, suffering, and need. Thank you for listening.